Welcome back. It was a little bit too much silence, so I thought I'd come in there. Hello, welcome to the two Baltimorons. This is Michael Frank.
I love
and
it.
I'm your host today, Heather Kelley.
I love it. Give them a couple extra hours and they wake up. All right, what's up, guys? It's Mike Frank and Heather Kelley coming to you again today from our makeshift office. While our office is not quite done yet, we're so close. Not that close, but close.
Month or two out,
and we're moving to Baltimore.
Good chow.
Moving back to the city.
That needs to be my new audio.
Good chow.
Good chow.
I don't know if we can get that. I don't know. Maybe I can't do it right now while we're on the show. But alas. Anyway, so did you read Liv's podcast today?
I was just about to bring that up. Thank you so much for cueing us in, Michael.
Love it.
Okay. It blew my mind a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you.
The content was interesting. Learning the 30-year cost of purchase, right? Here in Maryland, the 30-year cost of purchase is roughly about $723,000. Now, that doesn't surprise anybody because our average price point is right around $330,000, give or take. The metro's a little bit higher, Baltimore City's a little bit lower, but for our team, we're right there in that middle ground. $700,000 calculates your monthly principal and interest payment that you're paying to the bank. And everyone knows that we're overpaying by comparison to rent. So here in Baltimore, renting in the same 30 years would cost you an extra, basically $400,000+ in the same time frame. So the thing that blew my mind was that the cost of owning by comparison to the cost of rental here in Baltimore is one of the best by ratio. But then if you move to places like, I don't know, Fremont, California, I don't know where that is.
I was thinking Anaheim.
Let's go with Anaheim. Where's Anaheim?
It's the second one.
Anaheim is $2.1 million to buy their house, but the cost of rent in the same city over 30 years would be $1.7 million.
Yeah.
Now here's a blow your mind moment. You can live in Anaheim for 30 years for only $600,000 more than you can live in Baltimore.
That is a little wild.
That's what's fucking blowing my mind, right? You've got cost of ownership in Tampa, Florida. You can rent for almost the same cost as living in Anaheim, California. LA, $1.8 million over 30 years. Miami, $2.05 million over 30 years. It's just crazy. The cost of renting in Nashville, Tennessee would be $1.9 million. It would cost you more to rent in Nashville, Tennessee than it would cost you to rent in LA. And that's mind-boggling.
That's insane.
But in the same cities, you have LA, which is a loss leader. You're almost $700,000 more expensive to purchase a home versus Nashville. You're almost $700,000 less expensive by comparison to rent. It's crazy. I mean, that's a $1.4 million swing. Shoo.
Good job.
Shee. But the thing that this doesn't account for, it doesn't account for, the benefits of ownership. It doesn't count for
I was just about to say.
increase in property value or net growth and other things. I mean, I'm sure that if you're buying a property in Anaheim, California, and the cost of ownership is $2.2 million over 30 years, you're probably outgrowing the $500,000 disparity between rental and ownership. Although
Correct.
that's a lot of money, $500,000. It's a lot of money.
I mean, yes, that's a lot of money, but at the same time, like, you're not going to have anything to turn around and sell and cash back on
Right.
when you're renting.
I think that the eye opener for me is when you take all these numbers and you look at, for example, Baltimore, which is where we're based out of. So let's focus on that one. If we're taking in the value, we're paying $723,000 versus renting for $1.14 million. We're already saving money over 30 years. But then 30 years down the line, now we have an equity and an asset that we can sell.
And
we
the
have
appreciation that
the
it's had.
appreciation. And I bet you that $300,000 house today, 30 years from now, probably $800,000, $900,000. So, I mean, not only are you saving $450,000 or whatever the difference is between ownership and rental, but you're also appreciating $600,000, and you're also gaining an equity and an asset that you purchase rather than renting.
Agreed.
It's kind of crazy. Like you can overcome the disparity in Long Beach, California. The cost of rental is 1.4 million. The cost of ownership is 2.0 million. But that property in Long Beach, maybe that's, I don't know, $900,000. I have no idea what that is. It's probably appreciating to 1.8 or 2.5 in that same 30-year period. So you're probably appreciating the difference between the cost versus the rental. Whereas in Maryland, you're serving every benefit line, right? The cost is lower, the appreciation, the equity build. I just can't imagine
what
buying
area
a
do you
property.
think was the most astounding to you?
I think Nashville, probably.
Fair enough.
Just because the cost of rental is so crazy high. I don't know. Let's look at these numbers here. You've got Cleveland, Ohio, cost of ownership over 30 years is $448,000. That's insane. I don't even know how that number is so low. That's insane. And the cost of renting is 160% of that. You can turn that off.
Turn what off?
That.
What are we referring to here? Thank you.
Bang.
Better.
So, I mean, the cost of renting is so much higher in Cleveland than anywhere else on this list. Let's see.
What's happening in Cleveland?
I don't know. It's just the ratio. I think the cost of ownership is so low in Cleveland and Detroit that the cost of renting is incredibly high. I mean, yeah, Miami, Florida, cost of ownership 1.6 million, cost of renting 2 million. And these numbers only go up, right? Because Miami, if you go to like the waterfront, you go to the bay, you go to the beach, I mean, that's just going to be crazy, crazy high. But also your rental rate is going to be crazy, crazy high too. Nashville is definitely the one that blows me away because I would have never thought that Nashville on this list of 20 cities would have been as expensive to rent as it is. Like Nashville is more expensive to rent than Long Beach, California. And that's probably from whatever that rent stabilization, I don't know what they call it, rent control.
Heard.
We don't do rent control, so I don't really understand it very much. But that's also probably why Anaheim, Long Beach, LA, San Francisco, San Jose, Fremont, Irvine, all these cities are on this top 10 list because of rent control. I don't know.
I hadn't thought about that.
I don't know very much about it, but it's crazy. And it's crazy to think that people are focused on something as silly as like, oh, well, I can rent for less money than I can buy. That to me doesn't work. I was just showing a property this morning where it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house split on 2 levels, 1,600 square feet total, 800 square feet on the upper level, 800 square feet on the lower level. And right around the corner, I own a property, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom. The mortgage on the 800 square foot property with the 800 square foot basement is going to be around $2,150. Mm-hmm. And the rent on the 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom is going to be $2,500. So anyone that sits there and says, oh, well, I'd rather rent. I just don't understand that logic. Like I can take you around the corner, not even a mile away, and you can buy a property for less than you're renting here in Baltimore.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense to me. In these other cities like Austin, Texas, you're buying for equity gain and appreciation and so on and so forth. But in Baltimore, every line item makes sense to buy.
Yeah.
To me. I don't know.
I would say on a number scale, it makes sense. But again, homeownership isn't necessarily only financially logical. Like you have to be there completely emotionally before you make it happen.
Tell me more about this.
So yes, from line items, it makes sense. But I would argue that people getting into homeownership is more about their motivation and their position. Like, what is it? The R's, it's your ring, retirement, rebirth?
Question mark. I've heard it. I don't know it well enough.
But it's like all of the big things
Right.
that get people into real estate. And it's why we go to wedding expos and
Right.
we call all of these people, all of these big life events, encourage them to think about owning a home and building a life there. But
and I think that's
those
what
are
needs to
emotional
change.
things.
That's what needs to change in our industry. In talking to kids, in having conversations with college kids, I know so many people that got out of college, got a job, and bought a car, right? Like that was their big thing, was they're going to buy a car. It's like, well, what if you took the same $5,000 or $7,000 or $12,000 that you put down payment and closing costs on your car and you bought a property? Yeah, you wouldn't have a car for a couple of years, or you'd be driving that beater that you drove through college. But the people that buy property earlier are the ones that win. So we allow, as a society, real estate to be driven by, the emotion. And that's just not the way it should be. It should be, the equity build. It's almost like you're getting a job to pay your bills. You're buying a property to retire on.
Correct. But I feel like that's a failure in education, not only to like education itself, but on us as realtors. But I feel like the other side is like, at the end of the day, like, it is an emotional.
I agree.
It is a very emotional process, and
I think everything about real estate in general is all about sex, right? Like you're either into the house, you love it, or you hate it. You either love the idea of a project, it's so fun and so sexy, and I'm gonna make it perfect, and she's gonna be my baby, or it's like, nah, I'm not fucking painting. I don't want to lift a finger. I want to move right in. I want it to be perfect for me.
It's a very polarizing thing, correct?
It's like you. This is what I want. Like this is my emotion. This is how I feel, rather than the idea of this is a good decision. This is the next step for me. This is the investment that I'm making in my future. And I think that's what this study sort of shows is like people are investing in Irvine, California, which is by far and away one of the most expensive places on this list, right? If you live in Miami and you want to tell me that it's more expensive than Irvine, that's fine. But, from my perspective, Irvine, California is one of the most expensive places on this list, but yet people are still renting in that same town, right? And it tells me that there are some people that see the value of buying, and there are some people that think of it as an emotion, like, oh, it's not a sexy thing to spend more than my rent. I could just live here for $1,200 a month, or $1,800 a month, or $2,900 a month, or I don't know, $6,000 a month. I have no idea what they spend, right? But the thought of taking on an added cost is not ingrained in our bones.
Do you think it's more so a fear of like homeowner responsibilities and not understanding how to deal with them?
I think that's a cop-out.
Okay.
I think people say that all the time.
I'll agree with that.
But I think that's a cop-out. I love to say to people, are you handy? And they say, no, I'm not handy. And I say, okay, you're just not handy yet. Right? Because you're going to become handy. And they're like, no, never me. And I'm like, I mean, if you want to pay me to maintain your house, it's fine. I'll do it for you. But the reality is that you can offset so many costs just by learning how to like fix a broken toilet. And these things are not complicated. Like watch a YouTube video and you could fix it. A la Michaela. Getting the look from my wife over there. But it's like, it's not complicated to manage your home maintenance, but it's a neglect that people don't want to do. And if you just neglect it, you just like forget about it. You don't ever think about, oh, I need to change my air filter. Oh, I need to clean my... What?
Nothing.
Did you forget to change your air filter? No. Have you ever changed your air filter?
Listen, I don't feel like that's a renter's responsibility. Unless you clearly state to me that I need to be changing your HVAC filter. That's right. You've got me so bent if you think that I'm just like, you know what, I should maintain the home that I rent right now. Like, but I clean thoroughly. Like, I do all the things that need to be done. But by way of like home things.
Home maintenance.
Correct. That's not me.
But I also think that it's the neglect. The person that goes, I don't want to do that, is the person that just won't buy. It's like, oh, I don't want to deal with home maintenance. I'm not into home maintenance. That's why I'm not buying.
I changed my car's own cabin air filter, so I don't think handiness is a problem here.
That's way farther than sliding an air filter out and sliding an air filter in.
I wanted to prove that I wasn't lazy, that I got this. It's just different with rentals. I
just think that people that choose to rent, there's something inside of them that's not yet ready to buy. They don't know why that they should buy.
I do think it's a commitment sense, and I think it's an education. But again, agreeing that it's commitment agrees that it's a feeling and it's an emotion.
I think 100% of what we do is a feeling.
Correct.
There's no question in my mind, right? my clients are making an offer on a property that we saw a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago. It was a long time ago.
Have you guys been back since?
No.
Okay.
But we walked the house. I loved it. I could see all the potential, all the opportunity. The basement was dark and dingy. And I was like, look, let's take down this curtain. Let's clean this window. Let's replace these 2 light bulbs. It'll be bright as sin. Once you paint, it'll be amazing. Right? They don't want to do that. I'm like, guys, this is literally paint and lights. Like, this is home maintenance. Right? You can't just move into a house and never paint. It looks like crap. If you've ever had a grandma move out of her house, you take that picture off the wall and there's a ring where the picture sat. It's because the wall gets dusty. It gets dirty. It gets sun drenched. It gets all kinds of other things. So this is common home maintenance. This isn't something that's far and above, far and above. Anyway, so a property comes on the market that's in their dream community, blah, 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 blah. And we walk the property and we find out that, oh yeah, the kitchen's nice. We could do this. And oh yeah, we could change out this light fixture and it would be better. And we go into the basement and the basement had been like gutted. Like someone ripped the drywall off the walls. We don't know why. And they're like, well, you know, we could do this and my uncle can come and help me. And I talked to my dad and he thinks that it's a good idea. And so we're going to make an offer on this house. And I'm like, paint and lights versus like refinishing a basement. But they came to this realization that they can do it. So they made an offer. That offer didn't work. It's fine. A week later, they decided to move forward with this property that we saw a month ago. Yeah. Now, we saw it a month ago. It hasn't changed. Status hasn't changed. Nothing's changed. And their feeling is, well, we'll make an offer. And if the seller agrees to it, we can do these improvements. And I'm so excited because it's like, emotionally, they weren't ready for it.
Yeah.
But now intellectually, they're talking about future potential. They're talking about growth opportunity. They're talking about why they're buying in the first place.
It's a buy-in for sure. Once you can get over that hump and be like, oh, we can make this exactly what we want it, even though it's not right now.
I mean, or the opportunity to buy something that might be right for today, but wrong for tomorrow.
Yeah.
For the future potential. I mean, how often are we at those events where people are like, oh, well, I'm really looking for a 4-bedroom. And you're like, wait, what? And they're, oh, yeah, no, do you know, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, are you even married? And they're like, no. Like, maybe we could find a 2 or a 3-bedroom and get yourself started, you know? Yeah. Because that's where we can grow equity and we can grow opportunity. The people that thought about buying in 2017 but didn't, bought in 2019. Good for them. But the one that's been thinking about it for the last 6 years, lost cause. All the opportunity that they had to buy at 270 or 230 or 220 now today would have been 450 or 400 or 350. And now they're like, well, I can't qualify. Yeah, because their income's not going up at the same rate as the properties that they're watching. It's like you have to be realistic with what you're looking for in order to find that thing that you can fall in love with.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know. It's just a crazy thought to think about continuing to rent and throwing that money down the drain, especially in a market like what we have here, where you can buy for less money for marketably the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't know, it's not rocket science. You just do it because you do it and then you figure it out. But I wish we could tell more people earlier on in their life, buy the biggest piece of shit and you'll make it work.
Good job.
That's my advice for every kid. Buy the biggest cardboard box that you can live in at 19, 18, 20, and you'll find a way to make it work. Because by the time you're 30, that cardboard box has just turned into $200,000 worth of equity, probably. Yeah, maybe 100, but still, it's a lot more than most people have at 30. Ka-chow.
Good job.
Ka-chow.
That's fair.
Oh my goodness. Any more thoughts on this? Saddest day in the life.
Saddest day in the life.
Saddest day in the life.
It's because it's snowy and stormy out.
It's the first snow of the winter. It's only January.
Harsh.
All right. Well, at any rate, you guys know where to reach us if you have any questions. If you haven't already, go onto our website at frankoliverco.com. Under additional resources and blog posts, you can find this recent blog. Look up the numbers for your city. There's about 20 on here, so there's a lot of opportunity for you to get good information. And if you ever need anything, you know where to reach us. You can always subscribe to our YouTube page. You can always reach out to us directly. And if you need a realtor in your market, you can always reach out and ask. We know a bunch of people. You can get me on Instagram at michael.frank___. How can they reach you, Heather?
Heather Kelley, spelled with an EY, 230. On Instagram.
There you go. We're out. What's up, guys? Thanks for watching. For more information on the housing market, Real Estate 101, how you can leverage your position in today's market, and so much more, click on the link below. If you like this video or have a burning real estate question you'd like us to answer, leave us a comment and let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you again real soon.